"Why's my heart beating so fast?" Emily whispers, tears in her eyes, as she holds the baby in her arms. The child looks at her innocently, and she feels something inexplicable. A shiver runs down her skin, as if an invisible bond binds her to that tiny being. The Blake mansion, in the heart of Manhattan, felt more like a palace than a home. Tall doors, polished marble floors, chandeliers sparkling even during the day. Every corner exuded luxury, but also an uncomfortable coldness, as if there were no room for genuine smiles. At the center of this universe was Victoria Hale, Adam Blake's fiancée. Young, stunning, always impeccable in silk dresses and discreet but priceless jewelry. Her heels echoed through the halls like silent commands. Everyone in the mansion knew her reputation: capricious, arrogant, incapable of keeping a maid for more than a month. "These curtains are all wrong," she said, narrowing her eyes. "Is it really that hard to get something right?" The housekeeper, a grey-haired woman, took a deep breath before answering. "I'll have it fixed immediately, ma'am." Victoria sighed impatiently. "Please, I can't stand incompetence." One of the older employees, upon hearing the comment, whispered to her colleague in the pantry, "I bet this new one won't last past her second week." The new one was Emily Parker, newly hired. She'd arrived just 10 days earlier, after facing long lines, interviews, and rigorous training. She wore her blue uniform, still unmarked, her hair tied back in a simple bun. Unlike the others, she carried a strange calm in her eyes, almost a silent stubbornness. That morning, he was pushing a cart with clean towels when he passed Victoria in the hallway. "What's your name again?" Victoria asked, not bothering to remember. "Emily, ma'am." "Well, Emily, I don't want the last mistake to happen again. The room must be spotless, rugs without a crumb, crystals sparkling. Understood?" "Yes, ma'am." Victoria arched an eyebrow, scrutinizing it like someone examining a piece of clothing. "We'll see if it lasts longer than the others." Emily didn't answer. She just nodded, swallowing hard. As Victoria gave orders, Adam Blake came down from the upper floor. His suit was impeccable, his eyes weary, his cell phone constantly vibrating. He greeted the housekeeper with a brief wave and grabbed a cup of coffee. "Good morning, Adam," Victoria said, giving a practiced smile. "We have a meeting with the wedding planner today. I want to finalize all the details." "Today?" He frowned. "I thought it was tomorrow." "No, dear, it's all on the agenda, and please try to smile more. The photos don't turn out well with that bored look." Adam sighed and walked to the window. The city throbbed outside. "Smiling isn't in the business contract." Victoria laughed, but it sounded cold. "It's a good thing marriage isn't a business, isn't it?" Adam didn't answer. He just adjusted his tie and returned to his office, leaving a heavy silence in the air. Emily, watching from afar, pushed the cart slowly. She was new there, but she already understood the mansion's atmosphere. Sharp orders, judgmental looks, and a boss who seemed to be constantly caught between paperwork and commitments. In the kitchen, a colleague whispered, "You're brave to take this job. No one can stand Victoria." Emily gave a shy smile. "I just need to work. I'll try." "Emily, come quickly," called Mrs. Quinn, the housekeeper, appearing in the hallway with her cell phone in her hand. "The nanny's absent. The baby woke up crying, and Victoria doesn't want any noise." Emily swallowed. 10 days away from home. No one lasted a month under Victoria. I can go, yes. Go now, take these things, and be careful with the mother-of-pearl buttons," the housekeeper added, pushing a basket of clean overalls. At the top of the stairs, Victoria crossed her arms. "Just don't take too long. I have a meeting in 15 minutes. "Yes, ma'am." The crying came from the nursery, a brighter corner of the mansion, with soft grey walls and cloud-patterned wallpaper. The nursery door was half open. Morning light streamed in, slicing across the hardwood floor. A Star Mobile spun slowly, creaking softly. A brown teddy bear lay beside the wool rug, and the air smelled of talcum powder and laundry. "Hey, little one," Emily whispered, approaching the crib. It's okay. It'll pass, the baby sobbed, cheeks damp, brown hair plastered to his forehead, 2 years old, maybe a little younger. His curious eyes still glistened with tears. When Emily held out her arms, he calmed a little, as if recognizing the calm in her voice. "Shh, it's okay, my love," he said unintentionally. Emily cleared her throat, correcting him. "I mean, it's okay, little one." The crying turned into a tantrum. She pressed her cheek against his little head, feeling the gentle warmth and that scent of milk, soap, and a new world. Her heart beat faster, but she took a deep breath. Work is work. She grabbed the basket, carefully opened a drawer, and pulled out a grey jumpsuit with small buttons. "Let's change out of those clothes, shall we? You'll be fresh." She placed the baby on the padded changing table. Emily's hands trembled only slightly, used to handling dishes, glass, sheets. Now, a different delicacy. She carefully unbuttoned the romper, speaking softly, "Look at those little hands. You're strong, aren't you?" He smiled. "And those little folds. They're so beautiful." The baby let out a grunt, kicking lightly in the air. Emily laughed softly and pulled the teddy bear closer. "There, you have company. The bear will help you." As she removed the shirt, the cloth brushed against the soft skin of the child's chest. That was when Emily saw it. Stopped. Above the ribs, on the left side, a very small half-moon mark. It wasn't a scratch, nor a recent bruise. It was a scar, an old one, delicate and precise, like a whisper on the skin. The air was gone. Time, for a second, didn't exist. No. He escaped almost soundlessly. No, no, no. The memory came back clear, like an old photograph. Emily's mother's voice laughing in the kitchen, her hand brushing the skin of an imagined baby, telling the old Parker story. "That little mark is ours, daughter. Your grandfather had it, I have it, your brother too. It's like God signed us." Emily touched her fingertips to her lips, dizzy. The baby stared at her curiously, not understanding the storm brewing in her chest. "Breathe," she whispered to herself. "Breathe." He tried to continue the exchange, but his hand hesitated at the buttons. The mobile clicked as it spun, as if the whole house was paying attention. The scar was there, clear, impossible to mistake, in exactly the same place. Half Moon Parker. "Emily," Mrs. Quinn's voice came from the doorway, low, careful. "Is everything okay?" It took Emily a second to respond. "It is, yes, ma'am. He was just hot. Great. Victoria doesn't want a scandal today." "No scandal," she smiled toothlessly. "Don't worry." The housekeeper stepped back. Emily was left alone again, her heart pounding as if it were about to burst from her throat. She ran a hand through her hair, tucked a strand behind her ear, and Dan, with all the delicacy in the world, put the new onesie on the baby. The buttons felt like they weighed a ton. Her voice trailed off. She swallowed hard. "You're beautiful, you know that." The baby touched her chin with curious little fingers, tugged on a loose strand of hair, and gave a small, yet sly smile. That smile opened a crack Emily thought she'd buried forever. Victoria's loud footsteps echoed down the hallway, approaching. Has he stopped crying? The question cut through the air before the presence fully emerged. "It stopped, ma'am," Emily said, setting the teddy bear down next to the little one. It just needed to be changed." Victoria appeared in the doorway, her cool eyes scanning the room. "Excellent. I need the main room in 10 minutes. And don't linger here. He has an appointment with the pediatrician." "Yes, ma'am." Victoria walked away, her heels slowing to a stop. Emily stood still, her gaze fixed on the spot where the scar hid beneath the fabric. Her legs felt wobbly. The baby yawned, resting his head in her tiny hand as if it were the most natural place in the world. "My God," he whispered, "what do I do?" There was no answer, only the soft silence of the nursery, the smell of talcum powder, and the whole world shrunken into that impossible little mark. Emily pressed her lips to the baby's forehead, a light kiss, almost an apology for trembling so much. and picked him up again. The mobile continued spinning, oblivious to the night falling inside her in the middle of the morning. "It's okay," she said, more to herself than to him. "It's going to be okay." But my heart no longer believed in "it's okay." Instead, it repeated a silent, insistent question that had no place in that marble house. What if? Emily took a deep breath, placed the baby back in the crib, and adjusted the onesie as if trying to hide a secret from the world. As she left, she paused with her hand on the doorknob, took one last look, and felt the shivers return, from the back of her neck to her heels. Emily's heart still pounded after what she'd seen in the nursery. The scar wouldn't leave her mind. In the days that followed, every time she had the chance to care for the baby, she paid attention to everything. The way he held the toy, the way his eyes sparkled, even the crooked smile that reminded her of someone she knew. Doubt gnawed at her silently, like a wound that wouldn't heal. On Sunday morning, as she was wiping the glass table in the main room, she heard his crying coming from upstairs. She couldn't resist. "I'll go, Mrs. Quinn," she said to the housekeeper, who sighed wearily. "Go, but be careful. The bride doesn't like to see you glued to the child." Emily rushed upstairs, the cloth still in her hand. In the room, the little boy stretched his arms toward her, his face red from crying. Emily picked him up, cradling him against her chest. The crying stopped almost immediately. "See," she whispered, moved. "You like me, don't you?" The baby giggled softly, clapping his hands. Emily's heart sank. It was then that Victoria's sharp voice sounded behind her. "Interesting. Very interesting." Emily turned around in alarm. Victoria was standing in the doorway, arms crossed, an expression of pure disdain. "Excuse me, ma'am." He was crying. He tried to explain. "And since when is that your problem?" Victoria approached, her heels clicking on the hardwood floor. "Your job is to clean, not play mother." Emily was silent, holding the baby close to her. "Give him to me," Victoria ordered, holding out her arms. The little boy, however, clung to Emily's uniform, hiding his little face in her shoulder. Victoria narrowed her eyes in fury. "How cute! It almost seems like he prefers you. But know this, you're nobody here." The sentence was like a slap. Emily felt tears sting, but she swallowed them back. I just wanted to calm him down." "Don't explain yourself." Victoria took the baby from her arms roughly. "Do your job properly and keep your distance." The boy began to cry again, louder this time. Victoria huffed impatiently. "See, you ruined even that." Emily took a step back, humiliated. Her blood pounded in her ears, but she kept quiet. She knew any word could cost her her job. That afternoon, during lunch, the scene repeated itself. Emily was helping to serve when the baby, sitting in his high chair, reached out to her, babbling sounds that sounded like a call. Adam, who was leafing through some papers, looked up. "He likes her, doesn't he?" he commented, almost smiling. Victoria slammed her cutlery down on the table. "Adam, don't encourage this. It's ridiculous." "Why ridiculous? The child just wants attention. His attention, not hers." Victoria snapped, staring at Emily. "You heard, didn't you? Stop staring at my son." Emily blushed, lowered her head, but couldn't control her gaze. It was stronger than her. The scar, the baby's appearance, everything pulled her like a magnet. I didn't mean to offend, Mum." His voice was low, almost a whisper. Victoria smiled coldly, leaning forward. "Offend? You wouldn't even have that power. Just remember, you're invisible here." The words echoed in the air. Emily took a deep breath, her eyes welling up. She set her plate down with trembling hands and retreated to the pantry. In the hallway, she leaned against the wall, feeling her chest tighten. "Invisible," she muttered to herself, swallowing dryly. With each passing day, the doubt grew deeper. It wasn't just affection for a helpless child. It was something bigger, deeper, something that kept her awake, thinking about the scar and the crying that only she seemed to soothe. Late in the evening, as she was picking up the toys scattered on the living room rug, Adam passed by. He seemed distracted, but he noticed Emily's lingering glance toward the nursery. "You like him, don't you?" he asked, stopping suddenly. Emily swallowed, unsure if she could answer. Yes, sir. He's a lovely child," Adam frowned, but didn't press the issue. "Get some rest, Emily. Tomorrow will be a long day." She nodded, trying to force a smile, but when he went upstairs, Emily was left alone in the quiet room, hugging one of the stuffed toys as if it were a piece of herself. "The napkin is not like that," he said, rolling his eyes. "Fanfold. That's the bare minimum." Emily came from the pantry with a pitcher of water. She tried to go unnoticed, until she heard the cry, short and distressed, coming from the next room, the baby. "I'll go there," he whispered to Mrs. Quinn. "Emily, be careful," the housekeeper warned softly. "You know how she gets." Emily nodded, but her feet were already carrying her. She found the little one in the playpen, restless, his eyes red. She knelt and held out her hands. The baby threw himself into her lap as if he'd been waiting all day. "Shh, I'm here," she whispered, her heart racing. "What are you doing?" Victoria's voice cut through the air. She appeared in the doorway, accompanied by 2 aides. "I told you 1,000 times, don't touch him." Emily stood up slowly, the baby still in her arms, as if breathing air back into her own lungs. "He was crying, ma'am. I just calmed him down. I just calmed him down," Victoria mimicked sarcastically. "Put him in the crib. Now, and get out." Adam walked in at that moment, catching everyone's attention. "Is everything okay here?" Victoria changed her tone, from ice to sugar. "Yes, it is, love. It's just that your employee insists on overstepping her bounds. I told you, she looks too much, touches too much, talks too much. She's clingy. It's inelegant." Emily took a deep breath. She could swallow. She could apologize and leave, like always. But the scar came back to her like a lightning bolt, her chest burning inside, her hand trembled. He began, his voice breaking. "I can't pretend I don't see." Silence. The ceremonial team stopped. The aides looked at each other. Adam frowned. "What do you mean?" he asked. Victoria crossed her arms, smirking. "Here it comes." Emily gently squeezed the baby and finally spoke. "That baby could be my son." The air was sucked from the room. One of the aides nearly dropped her markers. Mrs. Quinn opened her mouth but said nothing. Adam stood still. Victoria burst into dry laughter. "Your son," he repeated, as if tasting a bad joke. "You're delirious." I know it sounds crazy," Emily continued, her voice trembling but firm, "but I saw a scar, a mark. Everyone in my family has one. My grandfather had one. My mother has one. She discreetly tugged at the collar of her uniform, revealing a half-moon line on her collarbone. "It's the same." "Enough!" Victoria snapped. "This is ridiculous. People like you will make up anything for attention." Emily swallowed. The baby rested his forehead against her chin, as if asking for calm. She took a breath. "I don't want attention." A stubborn tear slipped down. I just can't ignore it." "You were either going to ignore it," Victoria took a step closer, the sweet scent becoming cloying, "or you're going to leave here today." Adam raised his hand for silence. "Wait." He approached Emily carefully, as if trying to understand a riddle. "What do you mean by mark? Are you sure?" "Not completely," Emily replied honestly. "But I know what I saw, and I know what I feel. When I held him in my arms," she trailed off, her voice breaking. "It felt like years of silence breaking inside me." "Oh, please!" Victoria slammed her hand on the table. "Adam, send her away, now." They're all laughing inside. The aides lowered their eyes, uncomfortable. No one laughed. Adam's face was serious, his eyes fixed on Emily as if searching for some spark of truth. "Emily, why have you never spoken to me?" he asked, more quietly. "Because no one believes it." She wiped her face with her sleeve, trying to compose herself. "Because I'm—" She hesitated. I'm nobody here." The words echoed between the crystal and marble. Adam sucked in a breath. Touched. Victoria snorted loudly. "I knew hiring new people would lead to this," he muttered. "I'll sort it out tomorrow." "No one is going to solve anything today," Adam said firmly. "Dinner is over. Everyone can leave." Victoria turned around in disbelief. "Are you defending this madness?" "I'm asking for time," he replied, without raising his voice. "That's all." Emily, unsure what to do with her own hands, handed the baby to the housekeeper with a quick kiss on his forehead. The little one let out a short cry, as if he didn't want to let her go. She took a step back, then another, until she was near the door. "I'm sorry," she said, addressing Adam, not Victoria. "I didn't mean to cause trouble. I couldn't keep quiet." Victoria stepped forward, her face inches from Emily's. "Listen carefully." His voice was thin and sharp. "Stop staring at my son, and never repeat that story again. Never again." Emily nodded, but her gaze didn't waver. There was something new there, small and stubborn. Courage. "If I'm wrong, I'll apologize and leave," she said firmly. "But if I'm right, no one will be able to silence me." Another silence, a different one, dense. Adam ran his hand over his face, as if trying to wake himself up. He looked at his son, then at Emily, then at Victoria. He didn't say yes or no, but the thread of doubt was already pulled, and once pulled, it never returns. "Everyone to the pantry," Mrs. Quinn ordered with authoritative gentleness, breaking the general paralysis. "Let's take a break." The team moved. Victoria stood still, her pride wounded, her eyes flashing with anger. She whispered, her venom undisguised, "You won't last another day here." Emily felt her legs tremble, but she kept her head held high. "I've lasted longer than they said I would." The staff lounge was nearly empty, illuminated by a calming yellow light. The clock ticked slowly on the wall, and the smell of stale coffee filled the air. Emily sat on the wooden bench, her hands still trembling. Jenna entered silently, closed the door, and pulled the chair close. "I heard," he said softly. "Did you really say that in front of everyone?" Emily nodded, without looking up. "I tried to keep quiet. I swear I tried, but—" His voice trailed off. "When I saw the mark, I couldn't." Jenna held her hand. "Tell me." "Everything, without fear." Emily took a deep breath, as if diving. She looked out the small window where the city lights twinkled in the distance, and then began. "It was a rainy night. I was 22. I arrived at the hospital in pain, alone. I called my father, but he lived in another state. There wouldn't be time. There were few nurses, few beds. They put me in a cold room and told me to wait. I screamed in pain. 'Jenna!' I screamed, and no one came." Jenna tightened her grip on his fingers. I'm really sorry. When they finally took me, they said the baby was weak. I was dizzy, light-headed." Emily closed her eyes, trying to hold back the tears. "I remember the white ceiling whizzing by and the metallic clang of the trays. The doctor didn't look at my face. She just said, 'Let's hurry.' And then, silence. A silence I'd never heard before. And then they came up with a word I hate to this day. Complications. They said he didn't make it, that it wasn't good for me to see him. 'It won't help,' they said. They gave me a piece of paper to sign. I was shaking so much I couldn't even see the line." Emily swallowed hard. "I asked to hold my son, even if just for a minute. They said that they'd already taken him." Jenna bit her lip, trying to hold back tears. "You've never seen—" "Never." The word came out like a stone. "I came home with an empty bag and an aching breast. With milk I had no one to give. My father hugged me awkwardly. He was always tough, but he cried in secret in the bathroom, and I dreamed of a cry that wouldn't come, a room that didn't exist." A gentle silence filled the pantry. Outside, an elevator dinged. "But why do you think," Jenna hesitated, "that it might be him?" Emily exhaled, opened her worn purse, and searched through the inner pockets, like someone rummaging through a heart's safe. She pulled out an old photograph with worn edges. In the image, 3 people stood on the porch of a simple house. An old man with a thin beard, a woman with a sweet gaze, and an 8-year-old girl smiling with crooked teeth, all with a small, pale crescent on their skin, the grandfather on the shoulder, the mother on the wrist, the girl on the collarbone. "My family has this scar," Emily explained, touching her finger to the bone beneath the collar of her uniform. She tugged at the fabric slightly, and the mark appeared discreetly. "It's genetic. Almost everyone is born with it. Some are tiny, others more pronounced. It's our signature." Jenna leaned forward, surprised. And the baby, same." Emily's eyes filled with tears. "On the left, half moon, in the same place as me, in the same place as my mother." She ran her thumb slowly over the photo, as if caressing memories. "I spent years trying to accept he was gone. I'd wake up in the middle of the night thinking I heard crying. Then it stopped, and when it stopped, it hurt more." Jenna took a deep breath, overcome with emotion. "Emily, this is very serious." "I know." She closed her eyes for a second. "I know I might be clinging to a crazy hope, but when he rested his head against me," she smiled, sad and happy. It was like my body remembered a hug it had never had. The smell, the calm. I know it sounds strange, but it didn't feel like the first time. Jenna stood up and grabbed 2 glasses of water. She handed one to Emily. "Victoria will hurt you. If she feels it will give you strength," she warned sincerely. "She likes to see fear, but you are stronger than you think." "I'm scared, yes." Emily didn't pretend. "Scared of losing my job, of being humiliated, of being laughed at, but I'm even more scared of turning my back on what could be my son." The door creaked. Mrs. Quinn appeared in the doorway, her expression worried. "Girls, are you okay?" "We are, Ma'am," Jenna said, discreetly wiping her eyes. The housekeeper closed the door and approached, her voice low. "What you said in the ballroom was brave and dangerous." He looked at Emily without harshness. "Do you have any proof?" Emily looked down at the photo in her hands. "Not yet. That's all I have. And the mark." He took a deep breath, "and a certainty I can't explain." Mrs. Quinn looked at the scar on Emily's collarbone, then at the photograph. "I've worked my whole life in wealthy homes," she said calmly. "Rich people hide things like expensive china, up high, behind the door, and with a lock. You need to walk slowly." "I don't want war, Ma'am," Emily murmured. "I just want the truth." The housekeeper nodded with an almost maternal affection. "Truth is expensive in this house, but sometimes it appears in the eyes of those who don't give up." She lightly touched Emily's shoulder. "And if you need to talk to me. I saw the way that boy looked at you." Emily smiled gratefully, a tear falling onto the back of her hand. She wiped it away hurriedly, proud and vulnerable. "Thanks." Mrs. Quinn straightened up. "Now get some rest, and watch out for Mrs. Victoria. She's more sour than a lemon today." Jenna let out a short laugh. "When is it not?" The housekeeper shook her head and left. The comfortable silence returned. Emily stared at the photo again and carefully put it away. Then she placed her hand on her collarbone, as if making a promise to herself. "If it's you," he whispered, voiceless, "I won't lose you again." Jenna laced her fingers with hers. "You're not alone, okay?" "Thank you," Emily replied firmly again. "It hurt a lot today, but hurting like this reminds me that I still feel, and those who feel, fight." The clock continued its indifferent ticking, but inside Emily, something had shifted. Sadness was no longer just a hole, it was a root, and roots hold us upright when the wind blows hard. The next day the mansion was quieter than usual. Adam came down early, without his blazer, just his white shirt rolled up at the cuffs. He stopped in the children's hallway and watched through the crack in the door. Emily was changing the crib sheet, while the baby flapped his hands in the air, giggling at her as if the whole world could fit in that moment. "Hey, little one," Emily said, playing with the teddy bear. "Today we're going to watch the sun through the window, okay?" The baby reached out to her, Emily hesitated, looked around, and then carefully picked him up. She rested her forehead against his and said, "Shh." The boy calmed down in an instant. Adam walked in slowly. "You have a way with him." Emily almost jumped in embarrassment. "Sorry, sir, I just wanted to calm things down." "And you did," Adam replied sincerely. "Last night," he scratched the back of his neck, searching for words. "I thought about what you said." Emily lowered her eyes. "I didn't mean any disrespect." "It's not about that," he said, approaching the crib. The baby, upon seeing Adam, smiled, but soon returned to resting his cheek on Emily's shoulder. Adam noticed the scene, immediate comfort, as if the boy's body knew that lap. "He trusts you," he murmured, "and trust can't be ordered. It just happens." Emily took a deep breath, afraid she would say the wrong thing. "Sir, if I'm overstepping my bounds, I can just stay on kitchen duty." Adam shook his head. "No," he breathed, choosing his tone. "I want you to stay close to him, when necessary. At least until we've settled on a permanent babysitting team." He paused. "And I want to observe too." Emily blinked in surprise. "Observe? You too?" He jerked his chin, a tiny smile appearing. "The way he seeks you out, how you know what to do without much thought, that's unusual." The baby held out the teddy bear to Adam, as if offering a pact. Adam took it, laughed awkwardly, and handed it back. "Thank you, champ." Emily smiled for the first time that day. "He likes to play hide the bear behind the pillow." "Really?" Adam arched his eyebrow. "Show it." Emily covered the teddy bear and, in a simple act, said, "Where is it?" The boy cheered, clapped his hands, and Adam actually laughed, a pure laugh, the kind he didn't hear in meetings. "I haven't heard that laugh in a while," he confessed softly. "Thank you." Emily tried to return the child to the crib, but he held her uniform tightly, as if begging her to stay. Adam saw the gesture. "If you want, you can take it to the window. The morning sun shines right there." "I can." "I'm asking, Emily." She walked to the ward's large window, holding the boy in her arms as the light fell on them both. The baby's face lit up. Emily closed her eyes briefly, feeling her skin grow warm. "He likes the light," Adam said, watching. "When the light changes, he gets calmer. Children like simple things. Light, voice, hugs." Emily spoke without posing, just the truth. Adam crossed his arms thoughtfully. "I need you to help me with simple things, then." She turned her face away, confused. "Sir, I want to change some routines." His tone became practical but gentle. "Starting today, 2 hours of your shift will be dedicated to the baby when needed. No overload. The housekeeper adjusts the schedule and—" He cleared his throat, almost shyly. "I'll compensate you financially." "A bonus on your paycheck." Emily opened her mouth in surprise. I didn't ask for money, sir." "I know." Adam nodded. "It's not payment for your story. It's recognition for your care." And then, more quietly, "And for your courage yesterday." She swallowed the tears that rose up. "Thank you. I promise to do everything with great respect." Adam smirked. "I already noticed." Victoria's heels clicked in the hallway, approaching like a storm. Emily instinctively took a step back. Adam stepped forward. "Adam, tell me I'm joking." Victoria began breathlessly. "The staff said she's helping the baby. That's absurd." "It's my decision," Adam replied dryly. "She has a way with him. She'll help with the transitions." "Are you crazy?" Victoria laughed nervously. "She's young, she doesn't know anything about children, and she looks at him like—" She swallowed, venom in her eyes. "Like a person," Adam added firmly. "That's exactly what he needs." Victoria stared at Emily. "You don't touch him without my permission." "Got it?" Adam kept his tone calm but unyielding. "The permission is mine, and it has already been given." Silence. Victoria's eyes flashed, but she swallowed the argument, forcing a smile. "Great. We'll talk later." She pulled away. Emily let out a slow breath, her hands still warm from holding the boy. "Sorry, sir. I didn't mean to cause—" "You didn't cause it." Adam straightened his sleeve. "Sometimes what causes it is what makes sense." The baby yawned. Emily laid him in the crib, placed the teddy bear beside him, and instinctively hummed a simple tune. Adam lay still, listening. "What song is that? My mother sang when I was little." "Go on," he said, almost in a whisper. Emily sang a little more. The boy closed his eyes. Adam watched the scene as if he had found something he hadn't known he'd lost. Peace. When she finished, he said, "Thank you, Emily. From now on, count on me to make sure we get it right." She nodded, a new gleam in her eyes. Not of boldness, but of hope that refused to die. "I will do my best. I know." And for the first time in that house, recognition didn't come in a cold note, but in a look that said, "I see you." The Manhattan sky was overcast when Victoria entered the discreet lounge of a five-star hotel. Heavy curtains, dim lighting, a muted piano in the corner. She removed her sunglasses, checked that no one was following her, and sat down in a leather armchair. A waiter brought water without her asking. Minutes later, Dr. Harris Lowell arrived, wearing a grey suit, smelling of expensive cologne, and a cold sweat on his forehead that betrayed him. "You called me urgently," he said, adjusting his tie. "The situation has changed," Victoria replied bluntly. The maid opened her mouth. She said the baby might be hers. Harris laughed, forcing naturalness. "Maids say a lot of things, Victoria. That's not many things." She said it in front of Adam. Victoria leaned in, her eyes hard. And he listened. The doctor stopped pretending. He swallowed hard. "There's no way to connect the dots. The papers are in order." They were. Victoria placed her phone on the table, turning it slowly. "Now, people are looking through a magnifying glass." He tried to laugh again, weaker. "Looking through a magnifying glass can cut your fingers. It would be a shame if—" Victoria let the sentence hang, cold as ice. Someone lost their license because of a silly medical record error. Harris's face hardened. "Are you threatening me?" "I'm reminding you of the agreement." She leaned back, her voice low. "You swore the registration would be perfect. No gaps, no odd dates, no missing signatures. I paid for it, and it was perfect." "No, doctor." She slid a manila envelope across the table. "Now it's stained." He opened the envelope. Copies, birth page, nursery label, shift stamp. The sweat on his temple glistened. "Where did you get that from?" "You're from the place where perfect things turn to dust. The administration." Victoria smirked. "Block 3, Wing B. Compare the dates. The on-call stamp says 2:16 a.m. The tag on the baby's wristband says 2:47 a.m. But on the main page, you wrote 1:58 a.m. 3 times for the same birth, and a different signature in the pediatrician's field." Harris slammed the envelope shut. "This kind of disagreement happens. Shift changes, clocks running late. Save the explanations." She leaned in, her voice a venomous whisper. "I don't want stories. I want silence." "And what exactly do you intend? Get these papers sorted. Now, cover your tracks. Replace what needs to be replaced. Disappear with whatever needs to be removed." Victoria fixed her hair impatiently. "And if anyone asks, you don't know me." The doctor took a deep breath, weighing the risks. "If we move too much, we draw attention." Victoria rested her chin on her hand, and for the first time truly smiled, a short, dangerous smile. "The attention is already here. Your job is to divert it." Meanwhile, at the mansion, Emily walked down the hallway with a thin envelope clutched to her chest. Mrs. Quinn was waiting for her in the pantry. "It achieved." "I got it," Emily whispered nervously. "Oh, the office receptionist gave me a copy of the vaccination record. They said it's standard to leave it with the babysitter. I just—" grabbed it quickly. The housekeeper closed the door and lowered the blinds. Jenna entered, carrying 3 mugs of tea. "Nobody saw you?" she asked, distressed. "I don't think so," Emily breathed, sitting up. "I asked to check the pediatrician's appointments. The receptionist didn't suspect anything. But we have to be quick." They opened the laminated card, complete with cute stickers and blue stamps. Emily pointed with a trembling finger. "Look at the first date. Neonatal vaccine, 3:10 a.m., May 14th. He turned the page. "Now look here. Discharge from maternity ward, May 13th. Jenna's eyes widened. "Discharge before the vaccine." "Exactly." Emily turned another page. "And the nurse's signature. An M. Collins here." She ran her finger over it. "And an M. Collis there. 1 letter less." Mrs. Quinn crossed her arms, attentive. "That doesn't prove everything, but it shows that someone wasn't careful." Emily nodded, her eyes welling up. "And there's more." She pointed to the corner of the card. "Blood type, O+. Mine is O, Jenna. My mum's too, and my dad's." She breathed, her voice thin. "In my family, O is common, O+ is not. Not everyone inherits the same." The housekeeper mused calmly. "But adding to the changed schedule, what time?" Jenna asked. Mrs. Quinn leaned in, her voice even lower. "The driver heard Mrs. Victoria on the phone earlier, saying 2:16, 2:47 and 1:58. He didn't understand anything. He just remembered the numbers. He said she was agitated, very agitated." Emily closed her eyes for a moment, her chest rising and falling. "That's a clue." He opened the card again, staring at the lines as if they were doors. "I know it is." The pantry door creaked open. Adam appeared in the doorway, taking off his glasses. "Can I come in?" The 3 of them looked at each other. Emily, wary, stood up and hid the card under the envelope. Adam noticed. "Calm down." He placed his glasses on the table. "I didn't come to fight. I came to understand." Mrs. Quinn nodded to Emily, as if to say, "Now." Emily slowly pulled out the card. "Sir, I picked this up from the office. Just to look at." She placed the card in front of him. "Some things don't add up." Adam sat down. The silence grew heavy. He scanned the dates, the stamps, the names. "Discharge, May 13th. He read softly. "Neonatal vaccine, May 14th. He frowned. "That's impossible." "There's more," Jenna said, pointing to the misspelled signature. Adam was silent for a few seconds, as if he'd been punched inside. Then he looked at Emily. "Who else saw it?" "Oh, just the 3 of us," Mrs. Quinn replied, "and we'd rather it stay that way." Adam nodded slowly. "Okay." His gaze hardened, but not toward Emily. "I'll check the maternity ward." Quietly, "If these papers are wrong, someone will have to explain." "Sir," Emily hesitated, her voice breaking, "if I'm wrong, I'll apologize and leave. But if I'm right, if you're right—" He interrupted her firmly. "No one will silence you." She bit her lip to hold back tears. The clock on the wall read 5:47 p.m. "I need to borrow your card for a few hours," Adam said. "Take it easy," Emily replied in a whisper. "Just, please, be careful." Adam put the card in his inside jacket pocket. "I'm not perfect, Emily, but I'm not blind." He stood up. "And thank you for your courage." He left. The click of the door seemed to seal a pact. Later, the hospital parking lot, floor 2. Cold lights, damp concrete, luxury cars. Harris Lowell walked quickly, his cell phone to his ear. "I've already done what I could," he whispered. "I've swapped files, adjusted logs, but someone's already been messing with it." Victoria's voice, sharp. "Fix everything." "You can't fix everything, Victoria." He looked around nervously. "If that card came from reception, if someone copied the records, they'll soon be cross-referencing. The times don't match. The names, too." "Then make it beat." Harris rubbed his face. "You don't understand. If this man goes after it, he'll find it. And when he does, it won't be just me." Silence. Then Victoria's voice. icy. It would be a shame if some old complaint surfaced with your name on it. Are you sure you want to test your luck? The doctor turned pale. You are a monster. I'm practical. She hung up. Harris stood still, the phone still pressed to his ear, hearing only his own fear. In his pocket, the key to the archive weighed like lead. He knew where the dust Victoria wanted was. The security camera flickered. A car drove slowly past. Somewhere above that concrete, an unseen woman was piecing together pieces of a forbidden puzzle. And for the first time, the secret seemed to have too many trails to be erased. Monday dawned heavy, but Emily was already up before the sun. She filled her coffee pot with weak coffee, put a family photo, a spiral notebook, and a blue pen in her bag. In the subway mirror, she repeated to herself, slowly, but without stopping. At the mansion, Victoria intercepted her in the hallway, cold as marble. From today on, no going into the baby's room without permission. Is that clear? Yes, Mom, Emily replied, without lowering her eyes. Great, and keep your stories to yourself, Victoria smirked, or you'll discover how easy it is to disappear from New York. Emily's stomach churned, but she pressed on. During her shift break, she took the subway to the old hospital in the neighborhood where she'd given birth. The building was older than her grief, yellowed walls, crooked signs, and the smell of cheap disinfectant. At the counter, a distracted receptionist chewed gum. File. I need to look at old records. May 12th, 2 years ago, Emily said, holding up the notebook. My name is Emily Parker. Only with protocol and only with authorization. The woman pointed to an endless form. And the archive is in another building. I'll fill it out. Emily took the pen, her hand steady. I'm not leaving without trying. When she finished, a voice behind the counter called out, Parker! Emily Parker! Emily turned. A woman in a lab coat, her hair tied in a loose bun, was watching her carefully. I was a nurse here. I'm Nora. I remember your face. It was a rainy night. Emily's heart raced. Do you remember me? I remember the silence afterward. Nora lowered her voice. You cried. You asked to see the baby, and I couldn't do anything. The doctor on duty was Dr. Collins. Collins. Emily wrote, Do you know where I can find something? Officially, no. Nora looked around. But there's a room with microfilm. It's in the basement. The technician has lunch at 1 p.m. If you get lost for 15 minutes, you might find a reel with that day's shifts. Emily held the nurse's hand, overcome with emotion. Thank you, really. At 1:05 p.m., lost. She pushed open the heavy basement door. The room was empty, with drawers, an iron table, and the old projector. Emily found the Maid drawer, then year 2. She inserted the reel, turned on the flickering light, and turned the crank. Names flashed on the wall, entries, exits, events. Her eyes darted anxiously. Here, she whispered, maternity ward. 158, pre-delivery. Tuber 16, room change. 247, neonatal resuscitation. Her throat went dry. Resuscitation and room change, times she'd already seen on the card. And beside it, a smudged stamp. H. Lowell. Emily pointed the pen, her hands shaking. She took pictures with her old cell phone, vowing not to shake anymore. When the door creaked, she nearly dropped everything. The technician came in startled. What are you doing here? I got lost, he said, tucking the phone into his apron pocket. Sorry, I'm leaving now. In the hallway, Nora was waiting for her with a manila envelope. I found it in my old locker, she whispered. There's copies of a report where we complained about the passwords being changed in the system. It bears my signature and that of the pediatrician at the time. It may not be proof, but it's a clue. This is gold, Mrs. Nora. Emily hugged the envelope to her chest. You don't know the good you're doing. Back on the subway, she waited for the train with her hands clasped together. A lady sat next to her and smiled. Oh, you look like you're going to war, daughter. I'm going to the truth, Emily replied sincerely. It's almost the same thing. At the mansion, Victoria was lurking. Where have you been? Recess, Emily said stiffly. I don't like uncontrollable people. Victoria leaned closer, venom in her eyes. It would be a shame if you disappeared from the roster tomorrow. It would be a shame if a judge found that a threat, ma'am. Emily replied softly but firmly. Victoria froze for a second. She wasn't expecting an answer. Later, Adam passed Emily in the hallway. Did you get anything? She hesitated, checked both sides, and held out the envelope. Time stamps, a signature, H. Lowell, and a record of the password exchange. Did you go to the hospital alone? Yes. Adam looked at her with new respect. You have a lot of nerve. I have no choice. The next night, Emily went to a community clinic where former nurses gathered for a craft group. The room smelled of coffee and hot glue. She approached two women. Excuse me, I'm looking for someone who worked on Dr. Collins's shift 2 years ago. One of them looked up. I'm Marta. I was the on-call pediatrician back then. Who are you? Emily Parker. I need to understand why they wouldn't let me see my baby. Marta took a deep breath. Because they said it would be better for you. And because, she lowered her voice, there was too much baby for too little arm. The rules get elastic when the pain is daily. And does the name H. Lowell mean anything to you? Marta nodded tensely. Harris Lowell, obstetrician. Very in demand. Influential people asked for him. People like, I can't tell you that without compromising myself, Marta said firmly. But I can tell you, when the paperwork doesn't add up, it's not an accident. It's a decision, and a decision always leaves a trail. Emily thanked her with teary eyes. As she left, the pediatrician handed her a card. If you need any technical testimony about the absurdity of a discharge before neonatal vaccination, call me. I can't stand seeing mothers leave with empty bags. Back at work, the disdainful look seemed higher than the chandeliers. A chambermaid whispered, You'll get the fall. Emily smiled without hostility. If the truth is left, I can handle it. At the end of her shift, she discreetly passed by the children's ward. She didn't go in. From the doorway, she saw the sleeping baby, her little hand holding the teddy bear's ear. She whispered softly, I'm coming, my love. In the kitchen, he opened his notebook and taped together the printed photos, microfilm of the appointments, a copy of the vaccination card, a report of the password change, the obstetrician's name. The title was in large letters, Pieces That Don't Fit. Below, he drew arrows, connecting each inconsistency. It was simple but clear. Anyone could understand. Jenna leaned against the door. You don't stop, do you? If I stop, I'll break down, Emily replied, closing her notebook, and I promise myself I won't break down anymore. The main hall was full. The ceremony team, a few guests at the fitting, photographers testing the light. Victoria descended the staircase in a red dress, her smile worthy of a magazine. Adam, in a dark suit, had his vaccination card folded in his pocket and a look that no longer wavered. Let's get started, Victoria announced. I want everything perfect. Great, Adam said calmly, because today perfection has to endure questions. A curious silence fell. Mrs. Quinn, in the corner, crossed her arms. Emily stood near the pantry, inconspicuous but attentive. Adam turned to the team. We need to align schedules. Victoria, what was the date of your last prenatal appointment? Victoria blinked in surprise, but regained her composure. Oh, there were so many. March, end of March. Interesting, Adam said, pulling a printed email from his pocket. Your stylist received your waist measurement for the white dress in late March. Same measurement as December. Identical centimeters. Nervous laughter. The photographers lowered their cameras. Victoria nodded, forcing a natural expression. I don't bloat. I have good genetics. Do you have a good memory too? Adam showed his card. A neonatal vaccination on May 14th. But the hospital discharge is registered on the 13th, and the obstetrician who signed some documents, H. Lowell, do you know him? Victoria paled for a second. Adam, this is ridiculous. Are you going to use blotting paper to embarrass me? No, I'll use your own voice. He tapped his phone, and a low voice echoed through the speakers. Fix it all. Make it work. It would be a shame if it was Victoria. Cold, cutting. A murmur ran through the room. Victoria took a step forward. You recorded me. I don't, Adam said, staring unblinkingly. But appearances and hotel security are less discreet than you might think. This is a trap, she snapped. You're humiliating me in front of your staff because of rumors from an employee. Adam kept his tone firm. It's not rumors when the dates don't match, when the signature changes from Collins to Collis, when the on-call microfilm shows room change and resuscitation with mismatched times, and when the obstetrician you chose appears in all those records. I was under stress, Victoria stammered. Dr. Lowell guided me. I trusted professionals. In professionals, or in lovers. The question cut through the air like glass. The room held its breath. Victoria tried to laugh. That's low. It's low to steal a mother's story. Emily's voice came out unintentionally. Low, firm. It's low to use a baby as a ticket to get in. Victoria turned, venom in her eyes. Shut up, you... Enough, Adam interrupted, without raising his voice. Victoria, were you pregnant? Yes or no? She opened her mouth, closed it. A second of hesitation that was worth an entire book. I had symptoms, nausea. The doctor, nausea isn't an ultrasound, Adam said. Answer me. A flash of anger overcame the mask. What if I say no? He spat. What are you going to do? End me. No, Adam breathed. I will protect my son. And the truth. He gestured. Two people entered. Pediatrician Marta and Nurse Nora, discreetly, carrying folders. Victoria took a step back. Dr. Marta, a technical clarification, Adam asked. Is discharge before neonatal vaccination possible? No, sir, the pediatrician replied confidently. It's basic protocol. Inverting dates indicates a serious error or manipulation. And, Nurse Nora, can you confirm your shift on an exchange of passwords that night? I confirm. And I confirm that the mother asked to see the baby and was prevented from doing so. An indignant murmur ran through the room. Victoria clenched her hands, her knuckles white. Adam turned to her for the last time. It's over, Victoria. You're not going to kick me out of your life because of her. She pointed, hurt and furious. A maid, a nobody. She's somebody, Adam said simply, and I see that now. He looked at Emily, not as a boss, but as someone who recognized a truth that insisted on being born. From this moment on, no more theatrics, he continued. I want a DNA test. Today, no hiding, no paperwork, no last-minute fixes. Today, Victoria laughed desperately. What if it goes wrong? What if it's crazy? Then I apologize to everyone. Adam nodded. But if it works out, you answer for every lie. She took a step back, looking for a way out that didn't exist. The red dress felt like it weighed a ton. I called a car for you, Adam said, now cold. Grab your things. The rest, my lawyers can handle it. Victoria looked around, expecting allies. She found only hard faces, eyes that avoided her. For a second, the mask cracked. Fear. She walked out, her heels tripping on the marble. The room fell silent. Adam put away his papers, took a deep breath, and turned to Emily. If you agree, his voice almost broke. We'll take the exam today, with you by my side. Emily nodded, tears shining but not falling. I agree. Mrs. Quinn smiled, her eyes watering. Jenna clasped her hands together in excitement. The pediatrician and the nurse exchanged a look of relief. The baby in the next ward babbled a happy sound as if the whole house had finally learned to breathe. "Then let's go," said Adam. "No more shadows, it's time for light." The office was silent. The digital clock flashed the hours in red. Emily could barely breathe, her hands clasped in her lap, her eyes fixed on the door where the lab technician had disappeared with the blood samples. Adam, sitting opposite, never took his eyes off her. "Breathe," he said quietly. "Whatever it is, we'll face it together." Emily nodded, but couldn't answer. The baby, in the housekeeper Mrs. Quinn's lap, played with his own little fingers, oblivious to the weight he was unknowingly carrying. The door opened. The technician entered with a white envelope, her hand steady, her expression neutral. She handed the document to Adam. "The result is there." Emily's heart raced. Adam looked at the envelope as if it weighed a ton. He opened it slowly, pulled out the paper, and read silently. His jaw clenched, then unclenched. Finally, his eyes filled with tears he couldn't hold back. "Emily," his voice cracked. "It's true." "Really?" she whispered in disbelief. Adam looked up at her and smiled with both pain and relief. "He's your son." Emily's legs gave way. She covered her face with her hands and began to cry, sobbing as if returning years of silence. Mrs. Quinn brought the baby to her. Emily picked him up, hugging him so tightly it felt like she was trying to make up for lost time. "My boy, my love," she said through tears, kissing his forehead. I always knew." The baby rested his head on her shoulder and closed his eyes, peacefully, as if he had found a home too. Adam took a deep breath, discreetly wiped his eyes, and approached. "Emily, forgive me, for doubting, for not seeing before. I was blind." She shook her head. "No need to apologize. I just wanted him back, that's all." "But you deserve more." Adam placed his hand on her shoulder. "You deserve justice and dignity. Victoria will pay for everything." At that moment, the door opened again. Victoria, accompanied by 2 lawyers, appeared. She was pale, her eyes red with anger and fear. "This is a setup," he shouted, his voice trembling. "This maid wants to destroy me." Adam held up the results and showed them. "The test isn't an opinion, Victoria. It's science." His gaze was hard. "You deceived everyone. You used a baby to gain power. And now it's over. You can't kick me out like that." She tried to get closer. Mrs. Quinn interposed firmly. "Yes, you can, and you will." 2 security guards entered and escorted her out. Victoria resisted, shouting insults, but her voice sounded hollow. The sound of the door slamming brought peace to the room. Emily, still crying, kissed her son. Her tears were now of relief. "I thought I'd never feel this again," she whispered. "His scent, his weight in my arms. It's like God has given me back half my soul." Adam looked at the scene, and for the first time in a long time, truly smiled. "You're stronger than anyone I've ever met." Emily looked up, her eyes still watery. "I'm just a mom. It's enough to be a giant," he replied. The baby opened his eyes and laughed softly, as if he understood. The whole room filled with a different energy, hope. Mrs. Quinn wept silently. Jenna, who had been with Emily from the beginning, squeezed her friend's hand proudly. Even the lab technician, who should have been neutral, smiled with emotion. Adam took a step back, respecting the moment between mother and son, but spoke firmly. "Emily, this house is yours. Everything you've been denied until now will change. I want you and your son to have everything you need." Emily wiped away her tears, her voice soft but resolute. "I don't want luxury. I just want the chance to raise him with love." "Then that's what you'll get," Adam nodded. "I promise." The afternoon sun streamed through the window, illuminating Emily and the baby's faces. She closed her eyes for a moment, silently giving thanks. Then she whispered, her voice breaking, "Thank you, my God. Thank you for giving me back my life." And in that embrace, Amidst the shock and joy, everyone understood that the truth can be delayed, but never erased. End of story.